just coming. Please just get your raffle tickets. And the proceeds for this raffle tickets are going to the Voice of the African Child that is founded by Emily Dube Mapua. So I'm just going to call Emily to come and tell us more about this charity. She only got 10 minutes, so you better listen, ladies, please. Just listen, she's got 10 minutes only. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Wow, what a story, Julian. Thank you so much. And it's the best place for me to follow on to. Thank you, Wanai. Every year I'm here, and I know Wanai from school. I've got only 10 minutes. I'm going to name it because she's inspired me throughout my O-levels and sixth form. When I first came from Zambia, we moved to Zimbabwe, Bulawayo, and she taught me Shona and Dewele. So we got a long way. Anyway, the Voice of the African Child. Julian, your story, I just said, Lord Jesus, thank you so much. This is a practical example. What inspired me initially, I'm not a trained nurse initially, then I went to study law, and I've been working as a clinical negligence lawyer. When she started Inspired KHAYA, I moved out into human rights and child rights because that was my dream, to represent the children of Africa. Now, that's who we are based in background. Next picture.
Down.
Down. Help.
Help.
Oh, you
Yes.
don't? Okay, what's wrong with this picture? Look at this picture. What's wrong with that picture? It says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot. This picture speaks for itself. Do you see children like this in England, in Europe, France, Germany, Paris, on the streets of London? Do you see that?
No.
So something is wrong with our society, isn't it? Something is wrong with our system. Something is wrong with our governments. When I started off with Voice of the African Child, I thought, oh, I'll just help them with books and sweets and chocolates and uniforms and things like this. But then I realized, no, it's not going to be enough. I've got to influence not only grassroots, but I've got to work with governments as well. And that's where we've moved to now. So, moving on forward, this is where our approach is twofold. We're Christ-centered because we believe every African child, not only African, every child has got to know their walk with Jesus Christ as Nazareth. They've got to have their soul change, and that is the knowledge of who loves them. Every orphan child and every child has got to have a knowledge of who loves them. Coupled with that, we've started to work with African governments in an organization called AAG, or Arise Africa Group, where we remind organizations and governments of their CSR, or corporate social responsibility. So what Gillian's been talking about, she had to go and ask a man for milk and food every day, this man and that man. And those were just few people helping around. But where were the big companies? You can't tell me that there was no Shell or some big company, or I don't know, Barclays Bank or something in Calcutta. They were there, but they would walk in their cars and just drive to Barclays or JP Morgan or I don't know, Bank of America, and look at these people and just they were there. So it's time we awaken companies who are investing in Africa on their corporate social responsibility. The other stats that we saw, how much Nigeria, for example, Western Africa, produces 250,000 barrels of oil a day. But how much unemployment is in Nigeria? How much poverty and how many orphans are there? Thousands, right? In Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, we've got South Africa, we've got Botswana, we've got Gabon. They produce so much diamonds, they produce so much gas. But how many children are living on the streets and wearing rags? So many. So what's happening to our natural resources? So we need to combine, not just taking donations and getting money from England, getting money from USAID and CIDA and DFID and asking the West for money every day. We need to get money from Africa. We need to get money from our own natural resources, for our own children, right? So it is my duty and yours to incite these big governments and incite our leaders and say, look, we've got oil, we've got mining, we've got resources. These need to be used for our African children, first and foremost. You've been to Dubai. Have you ever seen a child living on the street? You go to Saudi, you go to all these UAE countries. Why? Because they produce oil, and the first and foremost they feed and look after is their own children. Why can't we do the same as our countries? Okay? Next. Now, okay, these are now pictures. I've just given you a background. This is the work that we're doing in Shirugwi. It's an orphanage in Shirugwi. Most of these children were picked up. I can give you stories upon stories. Some of them were on slums, some of them on garbage heaps, some of them bought on. There's 26 homes in this project. One of them, the girl in red. How do I do? Oh, okay. Okay. Right, the girl in red, she's passed away. She was picked up in a chicken coop. That's Mia, right? She was picked up in a chicken coop and sexually assaulted at the age of 5. We picked her up then, and then we brought her, but she never smiled. She was always such a broken child. And recently she passed away, right? And near Shurugwi, there's a mine called Zimasco that's recently been taken over by China. They produce thousands and thousands of chrome. Chrome is used in your phones and laptops and all the rest of it sent back to China. But have they given us a penny for this? Nothing. Next one. Okay, this is a children's home we've got in Harare, an area called Mavuku. We supported, the woman started it, but she couldn't carry on anymore. She was about to close it. The government was saying you've got not enough toilets and that, and we've started to help. And these are some of the children on there. Again, this is a place in Mavuku. A lot of these children, each child has a story, just like Julian's. Julian, please, can you come and stand here? Oh, so sorry. This is Courtney Plan. This is Courtney Plan. I'm showing you a picture. I could be anybody. I could have just gone there and taken a picture and I'll just show people in England and pretend I do all these things. I could be standing here lying. But here's a true story. Here is a true story. And she got help from somebody like you to be where she is now. When you help another person, you're helping yourself in return. Now she's helping the world. Right? She's just told us her story. Thank you so much, Julian. Thank you. We do self-initiatives and self-sustaining projects. We thought, look, we don't like to keep asking and asking and asking. Please give me, give me, give me. We don't want to produce a donor mentality in people's heads to say, Africans are always begging, always begging, always begging. It's good to ask for help, but you get to a point where you stand up yourself. Her dad asked for help, and then he started things by himself later on. Now then, we've got a few cattle, we've got only 6 cows, not many, and then we've got quite a lot of chickens. They produce eggs and they produce meat when they're old to feed the children and also to sell so that we continue with the initiative, the projects. Going forward, we just dug a well. That's one of our, who's a doctor in Dube, dug a well of water. We got help from the local Catholic Church, SDA, Seventh-day Adventist Church, helped us with the well. That's another well that was recently dug for us as well in Harare, so that we don't have to keep paying the city council for money. We've got youth initiatives. These boys, we got them from the village. That's John, and one underneath there is Tendai, I think. I can see John. We got them from the villages. Their parents couldn't do anything with them after they failed their GCSEs. And their parents, well, their grandparents put them through school using growing maize and groundnuts and zungu and beans and things like this. After O-levels, the grandparents said, we can't do anything with them. Now they're running riot in the townships. They're drinking, they're sniffing this glue, causing problems. So I said, well, let's take them to Mashingo, and talk to the local mechanics and see if you can help me. And the mechanics have taken them, and they're training them for free. However, when they do the theory, we pay them. So the goal is to get them, once they're trained up, the goal is to get them to then train others when they're experiencing this mechanic. That's another one. And he's so proud. He's always sending me text messages. In Kenya, we've got children of the slums. This is a part of Eastern Africa. Again, they live in squalor, but when they're in school, they get some reprieve and they get a meal a day. So that's fantastic. These are children who also help them. Okay? We've got a story here of a young girl called Damaris. She was living on the slums. It's a long story with her. You have to read it in one of our YouTube stories. Her mother was there. Her mother was basically kicked out of the village, and then they ended up on the slums trying to get a job and all the rest of it. She found a job as a housemaid for some wealthy man nearby, not in the slums, but a bit further. And unfortunately, the guy raped her, and she turned out with a child. There's another long, horrible story. Anyway, so we took Damaris in. We said, Mom, can you look after baby at home? We'll take Damaris and train up hairdressing. So that's her there under hairdresser. She's trained now, and she's working as a hairdresser, and she's moved out of the slums. So more on education, our homework, we believe very, very much that once you're educated and enlightened and you have Christ in your soul, you go on and you take on the world. Not only do you take on the world, but you also inspire another person, because that's what we're supposed to be doing, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, these are our children. These ones in the slums. You can see our class is not that great, but it's made of not bricks, beautiful building. But we work with what we have. When I say start with what you have. My schools, I don't have a great fancy school like this. This is the school I have. Those are iron sheets. But the kids are learning. They get hot when it's hot. The iron sheets get hot, and in the winter they get cold. But my kids are learning. They're sweet. Look at them in their proud uniforms. These ones so sweet. These are in a village called Bondo in Kisumu, Western Kenya. They've just graduated from creche and they're going into the senior school. We do a graduation deliberately just to get them so inspired. The whole village comes. And they say, oh, my child is joins and over, my grandson and my granddaughter. Because most of these really have no mom and dad. But we don't have to focus on them. We tell them Jesus is your mom and dad. Jesus is your mom. And you're not alone. You're not alone. So, she's a widow, 2 children. She's been on the slums. We've moved out of the slums. She's now on a little plot of land. It's not big. It's probably not for the hand. That's a lot. It's maybe a quarter of this room, something like that. But she's so proud of it. She's growing her own vegetables. She's got about 5 chickens. But we are educating her children. But it's something that has happened to her mind. She's liberated. She'd still be on the slums otherwise. And we're helping. And then in the Congo, this is my recent visit to the Congo, or my first visit to the Congo was this year. In the Congo, we have a very sad story. In all parts of Africa, most of the children that we come across may not have parents, but they've got someone in the village who knows them, an auntie, an uncle, a grandfather, a grandmother. In the Congo, there's been so much war since 2002, and most of the children are born out of rape. So what happens is the rebels will rape a woman, 10 rebels rape one woman, 20 rape one woman. In reality, children are born and the mother doesn't want that child. The family says, no, you're not coming into the family with this child. So these children, nobody wants them. They're called the unwanted children. Okay? It's a horrible stigma. Now, the government won't even give them birth certificates because they say you are the child of a rebel or of an enemy. So we don't want you here. So there's no birth certificates. So we started to work with an Anglican church. This woman, the Anglican priest's wife, took in 10 children and she couldn't cope. And then someone called me and found our information, a good friend, soldier actually. He said, Emily, look, I know you do this work, can you come somehow, can help us in the Congo? And that's how we got involved. And so these children, there's a school there that we're starting, because they can't go in a normal school because they've got no birth certificate. The government won't give the birth certificate. So we're feeding them, they feed 1 meal a day. They feed 1 meal a day, one cup of porridge a day. And that's from proceeds from people like yourselves, yeah? 1 cup of porridge a day. In this church, I was preaching to them and telling them about justice and telling them how special they are, how important they are, each one of them. And you should see, there's a sea of children at the front. I was preaching to them. These are children, we're more feeding them in the Congo. Again, we have no, and when they finish feeding at the center, we haven't got enough money. They go back to sleep on the streets because we haven't yet built. I've only been there May this year, 2015, so we've got loads to do in the Congo. Thankfully, there's people who are helping us. I took about 120 kilos of clothes. This was a scramble for clothes. All these children, you know, just, they were second-hand clothes, nice clothes from people like yourselves. Your children, it doesn't fit anymore. And you find the child coming to you, thank you for giving me my clothes, but my little sister on the back, she's got no clothes. And she's this tiny thing. You could cry, but you have to be. Victims of rape in the Congo, the women that we've been helping, they're in the village, growing their own food, and then, you know, they work, and after that they carry the food on the back. You know, there's no equipment and things like this, and then they go and try and sell it to look after themselves. Because after the rape, their husbands were killed, murdered, and they were raped, and they're trying to start again. Sewing machines in the Congo, this is a fantastic project that we started. The women, we get these from China. These girls, each of these girls has been raped, brutally raped, and probably has had family members murdered in front of them. So you try to start them to get some sort of normality, because nobody else wants to help them. Nobody wants to help them. The owners of the country are fleeing the country. So we preach the gospel to them. We work with an organization called Flame when it comes to these girls, preach the gospel, and also give them some skills to learn. This lady, she's the one who teaches them how to sew. She was brutally raped by 10 men. It's another sad story. But you know, now she smiles, she's happy, she's got a job, she's teaching children learning how to sew, and she's being looked after. More ladies, victims of rape on their field, working. These are their children in the back. Because you see, we can't help every child ourselves. We only help those who've got absolutely nobody. When there's somebody in the family, we give them the child and we say, we'll help you with something to lift up your life. And that's what we're doing with them. If they otherwise couldn't do. More of them, they have to work in numbers. They can't go to the field on their own or to the river on their own because you get raped. So you have to work in numbers. You don't go to the field on your own, ever. Or just 2 of you. You make a plan and go together and leave at the same time. More preaching. Oh, thank you. So that's me. So if you forget what I've said, just remember Julian's story and try and think how you can help an African child today to be where Julian is today. Right? Thank you so much. Supports here.
Voice of the African
And
Child.
get the e-magazine. Yeah, there's
Now
a
you
paper
can
going on.
also get the e-magazine. So be a part of this. Inspire KHAYA is sponsoring Voice of the African Child. The proceeds for the raffle tickets will be going to Voice of the African Child. So buy your raffle tickets, ladies. Buy your raffle tickets.